Welcome to Boars on the Floor, our weekly guide to the inner workings of the Roy family. I'm your number one boy, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, he just got a new gig making explainer videos for the 100. It's Arturo Zurita.
They went back for the originator. Everyone's got a market, as Papa Logan says, and it's that market that we're looking to get here.
Yeah, a whole bunch of analysis of people and economic units and marketplaces of all kinds, and not so sure how the kids are doing on the open marketplace, but we'll get into all of
Not
that here
good.
on our weekly Succession recaps. We're so excited that the Jesse Armstrong show is back for its fourth and final season on HBO. We'll be back talking about it every week here on the podcast. An interesting start to season four. Lots of stuff to discuss. Logan being all alone, the kids being off in California, the disgusting brothers. Where do you want to start? What part of Succession should we dig into first?
I mean, the ending of season three left everybody on that cliffhanger, not realizing that Tom came up to bat, proving the siblings and his wife completely wrong. And leaving them
Mm-hmm.
surprisingly, like you said, Logan alone. But for the first time, it feels like all of the siblings coming together, even though I don't think they have absolutely any idea what they're doing. Um, there was one social post towards the beginning of the premiere where they were talking about how all of the advertisements, especially the posters, have gotten more and more modern. We've kind of
Mm-hmm.
strayed away from these portraits of them in front of portraits and such, and it's been these very high class buildings and such. And you get this right from the beginning. They are in a beautiful home that you see.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. It's one of the Roys out there. Um, they're in this
Filming for Fast
beautiful
X.
house. No, they're filming beef. What's not beef? The other one, the bear.
There you go.
But I like this new dynamic where you have these siblings who have not been together the entire time, and now they have these like new ways of saying hello to each other. You know, you got Shiv and what's Culkin's name? Insulting each
Roman.
other
Yeah.
and then kissing each other saying hello. You know, it's become this love language. And that's a part of this episode that you really saw, especially when Logan no longer has the kids or his little Munsters with him, where he starts treating the new people around him as his new form of kids. And you
Mm-hmm.
see this disgusting way of how he talked to his kids that he finds normal, insulting them. And he misses that. It's such a messed
Yeah.
up dynamic, and it's why we returned for 4 seasons. And I thought that was the best part of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, the first season of Succession started with a birthday party for Logan, where he's surrounded by his loving wife, Marcia, and his doting children, and he's in control of a powerful media conglomerate. And season four starts at another birthday party for Logan, but this time he's sleeping with his assistant. His children are scattered across the
Reportedly,
country,
allegedly.
and he's on the verge of selling his company that he was once too proud to step away from. Succession's never been like a warm and fuzzy show, but I felt like this sad start to the final season makes me feel like we're headed towards tragedy rather than any kind of happy silver lining. It feels a bit of an ominous start to things here. And Logan, like you said, is really isolated in a way that we've never really seen. He's ignored Shiv. He's looked over Roman. He's used Kendall as his punching bag in various ways, but he's never really been this separate from the people closest to him. I mean, the only son at his party is the one son that he doesn't want to deal with, Connor, about to drop another 100 million on his presidential election. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a very interesting way to contrast them in that he, despite winning essentially over his children, he's perhaps in some of the worst shape we've seen him over the course of 4 seasons of Succession.
You think he's dying?
Dying?
Dying. You think your chips are all in that this season doesn't end without that being the big thing?
I not only do I feel like he's going to die before the show is done, I feel like they're aiming towards him dying without reconciliation, right? Like
Really?
the whole episode here, the running through line is it's his birthday and are they going to get on the phone? Are the kids going to wish him happy birthday? Is he going to reach out to the kids? And that we go through this whole episode and no one's willing to meet in the middle until he calls them up to call them fucking morons. I feel like that's the behavior of somebody who doesn't get to like sit around the bedside, sit around his deathbed with his kids, feeling like he's done everything he wanted to in his life.
I can see that, yeah.
And also, Logan's half of the story also featured one of the better bits of acting from Brian Cox across the 4 seasons of the show, and really says something because he's done a lot of really, really stellar acting on Succession. But the diner scene with bodyguard Colin, just incredible stuff from Cox. What did you think of this moment in Succession?
I don't know if you can recall exactly where it happens, but there was that other candidate that Shiv worked with in a previous season. The one who ends up also
Yeah.
like interrogating them when it comes to the cruise lines. I forget his name. I don't know if you remember it, but he was like on the complete opposite side.
The
There's
guy
a-
who is played by Eric Bogosian. I forget his character's
I
name.
believe so, yeah. And I believe it's like the pre-wedding for Shiv, and everyone's at this like gathering, and he's going up the stairs having a one-on-one with that dude, and he mentions that line about the nut. I know what everyone's nut is, and I provide
Yeah.
that. I didn't think that could be topped. Boy, did his market like just vent that he had here with Colin, who's like what bodyguard number 3. He don't matter. He's irrelevant. There's another Colin joke said later on when they get somebody else on the phone, and Culkin's character is like, "What? Colin couldn't come to it." This whole sequence here, I'm with you, dude. Probably one of the best scenes that he's had in a while, and one of his most memorable ones. It's tied, if not surpasses, that nut staircase talk that he had, where he just gets the game. It's almost like he's overseeing the entire Monopoly board, the whole globe of everything that happens. And when you're so rich, right, like all of these other characters are, you are seeing humans who are not your regular human. You are seeing gods, deities who have played this
Yeah.
this world like it's a board. And just the discussion that he has, not just about how we move as people. There's a market
How everything's
for
a market.
friends. Well, yeah, there's a market for
Marriage.
dating pools.
Yeah.
It's just a fascinating, disgusting way of looking at the world. But from his
Yeah.
point of view, from being so high, that's how he sees it. And talking about the afterlife and such, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I don't think we'll get a better this series from him.
and we might not. It's really the ethos of his character distilled into a couple speeches, because yeah, he's talking to Colin, but he's not really talking to Colin. He's monologuing
Avatar.
at him.
Yeah.
This is like the deep dark secrets that he wants to get off of his chest in a lonely moment where he's feeling isolated, but like he has no one but his bodyguard, the guy he's literally paying to accompany him places, to tell them to. And you know, Logan Roy is a character for whom capitalism has been an immensely beneficial system for him, right? He's used capitalism to its greatest extent to give him riches beyond anybody's imagination. So it makes sense
Yeah.
that literally his entire thought process is distilled into different sort of capitalistic markets. He doesn't look at people as people. He looks at them as economic units.
That was crazy. That's such. It explains why, out of all the markets he talks about owning and commanding, the market of being a father, he's completely and utterly failed at. They're the economic units that he can't buy out like Colin. Colin can sit there and listen to him, but they're all yes men. And there's that one sequence where he's riffing on everybody, telling them, "Come on, the room is dry. Give me something to work with." His only
Roast me.
love language is hate.
Mm-hmm.
Yet those people, everybody else will not give him pushback because they're all on the payroll. They're all scared of him. And I think that's where he
Absolutely.
starts really missing his kids. And no one can play it better than Brian, bro. He has this perfect thing of hating these children, yet at the same time, like you said, he still wants them to be at his bedside. It's his birthday.
Yeah.
He still wants them to be there. He still wants to talk to them, even if it's an insult.
Yeah, he can't really get himself to admit it, but he does like have this deep love for his kids. He has absolutely no idea how to show it, and he's been
No.
a terrible
Terrible
father.
love language.
But there's clearly an emptiness in him, even here on his birthday, that there's no one he wants to be around. And like that moment when he says, "You're my best pal" to Colin, That's like terribly sad on a show full of sad moments and people at their lows. Like the dude you're literally paying to walk 10 feet behind you at all times,
right?
that's your best pal at this moment.
Like not even was it Frank? Not even
Yeah.
Frank.
They're all beneath him. That's again the show sort of showing what that like mindset can really what is like the end of that mindset, right? When you treat
Mm-hmm.
people in your life that way. So I thought that was all pretty interesting and does not necessarily spell the best for Logan's like emotional well-being. That being said, he is Logan for a reason, and the kids are not nearly as equipped to handle themselves in high high money negotiations, let's call it, because after dispensing of their indispensable bespoke information hub, the kids decided to put their entire nut into one last fuck off to their father, buying Pierce right out beneath his nose with some shaky negotiation tactics. Should we call it that?
They're terrible, and I don't think they won. I don't think it's the W they thought they got.
Yeah, absolutely not. They Shiv's just like confidence in that moment.
She is the
So
dumbest
she's
confident
so
person in the show.
assured that she knows what's going on and just sort of like talks herself into spending at least 2 billion more than they needed to on the acquisition. I thought was
You know,
really hilarious and kind of shows that like the empty speak that can get people to justify these stupid corporate
yeah.
decisions.
It's sad because they're all fragmented parts of their dad. She's got
Yeah.
his confidence, but can't make any moves. That's been one thing you followed with her. It's that she has failed in so many aspects of trying to make it, but boy, can she put on a smile and try to command something, even if it isn't the right thing. I keep forgetting Culkin's character. What's his name?
Roman.
Roman's pretty much taken the savviness of his father. He understands
Mhm.
the in and out markets. When she's throwing, like you said, an extra 2 bill, an extra 0.5, he's like, that's $500 million. That's 1,000,000.
He's the
I
he's the
love
only
that
one
scene.
he's the only one who says, "Is it worth it? Is it worth
Right?
$10 billion?"
Those are things that
He's
we
the one
can
who
use
actually
for something
comes
else.
off. He's the one who actually comes off pretty shrewd among all of them.
Exactly, because he actually spent that time and got from his father the actual negotiation tactics. She got the confidence. I don't know, the rap skills for Kendall. I don't know what he got, but at this point, it's like all of them separated are never going to reach the father, but even together, they cannot get there. Because in this whole idea of trying to undermine their dad, I have always told you since the beginning of you and I talking about this show, Papa Logan never loses. Even when he is on the ropes, he finds a
Yeah.
way to, in my belief, bait these kids into spending more money than they should have.
What did Tom say last season? I've never seen him get fucked. Like he may not have got the deal he wanted here, but he didn't get fucked by
Nope.
any means.
Nope.
And when you're talking, the kids are just trying to scrape by their little $2-3 billion,
Yeah.
and they're putting their whole investment into this old media firm. Like I thought the whole point of them starting the 100 was that old media is dying, and now they're ready to just
It is.
pivot back to it because it's the only thing they know.
Yeah, and that's when you're losing. That's how I see him still being up on top. It was the best deal though. Who would they end up making the deal with? Because she's been fantastic, especially when they introduced her.
Nan
in
Pierce,
the
yeah,
previous
Cherry
seasons.
Jones.
Kills it for her. Best deal possible. Having the headache and playing them off here and there because she too
I
is
love
someone who realizes that she's got them on the up. She knows that it's an emotional thing, like Tom had said. Are we making business?
Yeah.
Or are we adding an emotional element to it? She had them played from the beginning.
It's so funny because like they make Logan seem like an asshole because he's mean to everybody. But they do a really great job at letting you know that Cherry Jones's Nan Pierce is also an awful asshole, but she's
It's
just
just
doing it in a
him,
much
yeah.
she's just doing it in a much nicer way. I love her line. Different people saying different numbers. 8, 9. What's next? Like she's so transparent, but
Bruh.
talking such bullshit to them.
Yes. That's the difference between your New York doesn't exist hospitality and that Southern hospitality that like, oh, you have a great day, honey. There's just this like
Yeah.
knife, this cutthroatness to the niceties that they give out,
Yeah.
and she kills the role. That's why she had some of the best episodes from the previous seasons of them going face to
Yeah.
face and
Yeah.
killed it
She's
here.
great. Would you subscribe to the 100? Did it sound like something you might be interested in?
Not with them ugly logos. No. Hey, don't get
I
me
mean,
wrong. They call out for Intercut. That'd be crazy. The amount that they would do for the
Yeah.
startup for sure. We got a whole catalog, but nah, I don't see it going the way they think it is.
Yeah. I don't know if we do high calorie info snacks on Intercut. We do more like meals. This is long form content. So
Mm-hmm.
that said, like we're available if the hundreds actually hiring out there. Um,
It's a
do you
content
want to
thing.
talk
At
about?
the end of the episode, Logan is still there watching. I love that bit.
Mm,
When he calls up, seeing his news network going, "Who is this chump?" People watch at
yeah.
this time. I watch at this
Watch
time.
it this time.
That's
Yeah.
someone who cares about the content. These
But it's
people
also like
suck at negotiating. They don't even know the content. So they're
yeah.
spending all this money, this 10 bill on what? It's going to be garbage. Like you said, they're not even going for the new stuff. They're retracting back. It's setting itself up to fail.
Yeah. But that moment is also just like so sad. That's all he's reduced to in this moment is just a old man watching the television show he paid for and calling to complain about it. Like
Yeah.
they're I think they're really emphasizing like the hole in Logan's life, and I again it just feels like it has like an auspicious tone to it. But
And Marsha's
maybe we
gone?
should
How do
talk.
you feel about that?
She's shopping forever.
That's so bogus, bro.
I love that line. I thought that was
That's going to
so
be the
funny.
new HBO thing. Where's the Euphoria actress? Shopping forever.
Forever. That's how they operate, I guess, man.
Yeah.
Cycling out their wives. Anyway,
Shout out Patty
let's
Jenkins.
talk.
She killed it.
Let's talk about the Disgusting Brothers a little bit. Because Greg is bringing somebody in from the apps to an exclusive party while Tom is adjusting to life under Logan's thumb without Shiv to shield the blow. Uh, these two are just like the most fun pair on television, and they even as they continue to like move throughout the company and find themselves in new echelons of power, that they're able to maintain this dynamic is just one of the most rewarding, fun aspects of the show. I saw Linda Holmes point this out on Twitter, but a really funny thing is just with the name The Disgusting Brothers and the way that they play it, you know that Tom came up with the name, that Greg heard it and loved it, and Tom immediately regretted telling it to him because Greg loved it so much. And they do all that background story just through like the way they talk to each other. I thought it was so funny, their dynamic in this episode, particularly because like despite Tom being at this like existential low point, he still has it in him to fuck with Greg.
Easily. Do you think there was cameras everywhere?
No, I didn't
No.
believe that for a second.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, it's so funny. That being said, you know, I don't think this show needs a winner the way that like Game of Thrones needs somebody to sit on the Iron Throne at the
You're
end.
gonna burn it.
But more and more, I'm starting to feel like Greg could weasel his way into the upper echelons by the time the show is done.
He's the
You don't
worst
think
out
so?
of all of them. If I'm not
Yeah,
saying,
but
I'm
he's
not
so
saying it's not a
slimy.
possibility. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not a possibility. I'm saying no, please. Out of everybody, he is the worst. Because the thing about all of them is that you've seen terrible aspects to every single one of the siblings to Tom.
Right.
But you've also seen good. Name me one good thing Greg has done since the beginning. He's a scumbag. That's the problem. His adorableness, his aloofness, those are qualities that because we've seen him since like sky high, it shields him. But he sucks, bro. He's actually a terrible person. And an idiot.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me though. Still, all those things being said, you want to talk
I mean, that's
about?
what happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The least person
Fail
who should get it
upwards.
gets it.
Yeah. Should we talk at all about the dynamic between Shiv and Tom?
The best drama in television. Let's go. This is
Uh,
crazy.
I'm rooting for those crazy kids. You know, there's still some
Really?
love there, even if they don't want to admit it to each other.
There's history. I don't know about love.
Yeah, so Tom navigating life on the dating scene, trying to keep Shiv aware of his goings on, may accidentally leak some powerful information in the process, but it all culminates in them having a moment together in their bedroom, in their Manhattan bedroom, and Shiv again just sort of refusing to go to the emotional depths that Tom wants to, and not just like can't engage in a sophisticated adult way. She's only interested in like the power struggle, and the only moment where she like can can kind of smile through it is when she gets to deny Tom sex in that one bit. It's just
I thought
such
about
a
it for
like
a second, which was yeah.
yeah, it's just such a twisted dynamic they have, and I don't know. It makes me feel so bad for Tom because he's trying his best to be earnest, and she just will not meet him there.
Mm-hmm. I yeah I since I want to say episode the finale of season 2, right? That's when your boy Kendall comes out with all the papers. They're like in a beach. They're all trying to figure out who's gonna take the blame. If I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
season 2 when
I
they're on
think
the
that's the
island.
season one finale.
Um, they have this one talk on the beach where they pretty much confess to each other, or he confesses to her how much it hurts. Since
Yeah,
then, all of their scenes have been like trying to catch up to that moment, in my opinion. What they talk in 3, which you see in the recap about the "you don't love me" or "I don't love you, but you're still here," or whatever it is that she says, which is so mean.
yeah,
This you're at that point where, like you're saying, you feel like there's still love there. I just think it's that history of how much they've put up with each other that to
right.
this point they have all this baggage, all of this trauma that they've shared. They are both connected by the same person. She being a biological child, him being the one who wiped him, and now he feels like he's a son. Uh, and I don't know. They've trauma bonded more than anything, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, those trauma bonds are real sometimes. Lots of people get
Sure,
together.
I bet. But when you're also creating trauma for each other, I think you gotta
Yeah.
let it go.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one,
He looks
and
great though. He's been working out with the models.
yeah, yeah. Uh, was that the most uncomfortable scene this episode?
I wouldn't even say uncomfortable as much as it is sad, because you
Yeah.
are still seeing people who is like this is the end for them. There's this one moment because we rewatched it in the morning when he says we had a good run. Hey, hey, she's the only one who hasn't won, huh?
It's been a lot of L's.
Yeah, I think she deserves one. I think hopefully this is the season for her because again, going back to that confidence that she's able to bring into her scenes, knowing good and well that she doesn't have it, and then she's also like just wrong. She's spending more money than she should. She's probably saying no to the one person who would put up with her the most. She's pushing a lot of people away, and that's why I've always thought that she's had one of the best character arcs because while everyone else is failing in their own ways, she's her dad. She is,
Mm,
out of all the siblings, the closest to being her father. Emotionally, confidence wise, she just doesn't have the experience like her dad has had to be successful.
absolutely. Well, let's shift from that into something I want to do weekly here on our Succession recaps, and that's stock up, stock down, chart the biggest risers and biggest fallers among the Succession cast. And been a lot of change in the power dynamics since the end of season 3. So, who would you go with for the person who has the biggest rise in their stock in this episode? Who's proven their worth and clawed their way to more power after the Munsters.
Besides Colin, who came out of nowhere, it's Tom. Tom's the one doing the calls. Tom's the one who's being told by his own father-in-law still. Tell her she's never had an original idea in her life. Tom has a moment where he says the iconic F offline to Logan. Should I carry that on? And it's beautifully edited, bro. Go back and
Hmm.
watch that scene. He takes the line and they punch in on him. They cut to Roy or Logan sitting
Hmm.
there on a static shot. This is not a show with static shots. If anything, this episode, this premiere, had so many moving moments, so many zoom ins timed perfectly, like never before. And yet, in that
Yeah.
moment, they keep it still on Logan, almost like a passing the torch. It felt. And the follow up shot is this like bokeh out to him, back to Tom. He's leading it. He's the one making that final call, right? There's a moment in
Yeah.
the early on in the episode where they're talking and they say, "Is he picking up for you?" And then his assistant calls. It goes through. I would argue it would go through immediately if it was Tom. Ever
Right.
since that moment that they shared in the last one, he's winning. It's also why I'm disappointed in Shiv. Have him shopping forever. Don't divorce him. It's not smart. Look, we're not dealing with love here. We got that already. It's a
Yeah.
marketplace. She forgot it's a marketplace. Why would you get rid of the inside man that you had in your bed?
Mm,
He's at the top of the game.
exactly. She's discarding assets. She's wasting $2 billion where she
Come
doesn't have to.
on.
And yeah, and
It could
she's
be used for
out of
jet
love.
skis,
I know.
snowmobiles.
So that's why I have Shiv as our biggest faller. I mean, she took a lot of L's last season, and the season 3 finale was a lot on her as well. But yeah, I mean, she did nothing to sort of boost her stock.
Oh, you got her on the clock.
From the
Okay,
start, she was kind of wishy-washy on the 100, looking for an out in the Jimenez campaign. You know, they're talking about talking. And even when she gets excited in this Pierce media venture, she finds a way to stumble too. So yeah, I kind of feel like Shiv is our biggest faller from week 1. How about you? Would you go with Shiv as the person whose stock is the most down, or somebody else takes the crown?
The moment the dad called in to say, "You morons,"
Yeah.
and she did that look, you know that meme where the guy's wearing a mask smiling, but he's crying behind? She
Yeah.
killed that performance right after she hears her dad insult, because for a second, the only one there is Culkin, who knows, nah, Pops just ruined us, and this is kind of the advice I was telling you guys not to do. Her
Mhm.
face is when you go to the dictionary and it says cope, that face right there.
Uh,
She
that's
knew it
also
too. It was
why I
written all
got
over her face.
that's also why I got Roman as my biggest riser in the week. Like, yeah, he
Okay.
kind of got roped into this bad deal, but he's the one who comes out looking the best. And
He could
of the
switch if
three
he wanted to.
kids, if of the 3 kids, he's the only one who doesn't seem completely preoccupied with getting back at daddy, right? Like, he's
Mm-hmm.
just looking to start a business, as he said.
The only smart one.
Yeah. Where that leaves him, who knows? I liked your pick of Carrie, though. Carrie's probably like the penny stock I'd keep my eye on. She's weaseled her way to the inner circle. She's the friend, assistant, and personal advisor to the head of ATN now.
Mm-hmm. Letting people know that this ain't an in and out. She has some of the best lines.
Yeah, let's talk about that actually. What were some of your favorite quotes? I have a whole bunch here because like Succession remains probably the best written show on TV. Just like the
Yeah.
lyrical nature of the little things they'll slip in here and there. I loved Carrie. I mentioned already. Marsha's not here. She's in Milan shopping forever. I already mentioned Kendall saying high calorie info snacks when describing the content on the 100. I loved Connor and Willa when Connor said both sides are trying to squeeze my percent, and Willa said that's greedy when they have all the other percents. A couple other really good ones. When when Roman said we've never licked his big omelet nipples. When Tom said, "Did you rummage to fruition?" I also really loved Roman's deadpan. It's a sad, sad day when love dies. After
That
Shiv said
okay.
he's getting a
That
divorce.
one was great. I ran that back multiple times. It is perfect deadpan.
The delivery is excellent.
Yeah. In a group of strangers.
Any other favorite lines from this episode?
Um there was
Congratulations on saying the biggest number, you fucking morons.
that one's also great. I like more so moments. I like this recurring thing where the kids, now being by themselves, realize what numbers mean. Well, if you spend
Mhm.
100 mil, you'd still be rich, right? Yeah. Just with
With
not
100
100
million
mil.
less. Exactly. Yeah. The heat is running
Now they
dry.
realize.
They're selling the company, and they got to actually start thinking about these numbers.
Same thing later on when they're like, yeah, it's around 10, but that's pretty expensive for a conversation ender. We could do so much with 500. And then he just names every single variation of how much money that is. Yeah, you finally have the kids realizing everything's not going to be all right. Daddy's not going to be there to boost you up.
I mean, it's funny.
And all for what?
It's also funny
A
because he
percent?
says like Sorry, I was just gonna say it's also funny that he says like we could buy jet skis and not buy a jet ski company. It's 500 million.
Yeah. So I don't. I just like that aspect of it now, being able to see it from them having to take some sort of control.
Mhm.
But no, honestly, I think what'd you say her name was, the new assist or the
Carrie?
assistant for Logan? Carrie. I don't know. I thought she had a lot to work with in this episode. I thought she was really funny, and that just that one interaction that she has with cousin Greg was hysterical. Trying to set him in his place.
Is she from the apps, Greg?
So yeah, she
Really
got
good stuff.
the what is it, the most improved player in my
There we
opinion
go.
was her, because she's kind of been
Nice.
hated on the sidelines. She came in ready.
So this is, as we mentioned, season four's first episode. Do you feel like this episode indicates in some way we're headed towards an end game?
Yeah, I know that everybody said they didn't know it was the finale, and it went viral how everyone had a different reaction. Brian did not care. Shiv was disappointed that she did not know. Um, that's what leads me to believe that it's going to be an unresolved ending. It is an HBO series. It is Succession.
Right.
Very much feels like a show that's not going to be as closed up as possible, but it did make me think the most Succession thing to do, the most HBO thing to do, is to make fun of capitalism and then come out with a spin-off. I see a sequel in the works that may be a prequel. This idea of what the come up is for the kids and what led them to become
Mm-hmm.
the Roys as we know them. If you're able
Yeah.
to cover them in their teen years, get a completely new different cast, you ain't got to pay them the money that probably would have been season 5, and do it that way. Because while it may be ending here, do you think this is the end of the Succession story?
I don't know if I'm gonna say like I think it's the end for sure. Just because the machinations of the entertainment industry, you know, as they are, they really love to suck on the teat until it's dry, like the Roy kids. I don't know. That being said, like I don't think it's gonna come as soon as some people seem to believe or hope. Like I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, I
Same.
really want to see I want to see the show from the opening credits, right, with the kids, like you're
That's
saying."
what,
And like I
yeah.
don't know, I
It'd be
don't
good.
know if I want to see that. I kind of like I like Succession because it's this iteration of this family with these great actors, and I don't know if the story is necessarily the same if it's not about that sort of like corporate power play, right? I love Jesse Armstrong and the writers that they've assembled. I think the writing is like superb, and if you're gonna get that group of people in a room together, I'm sure whatever they
Mm-hmm.
come up with is gonna be hilarious. Like I also would have been okay if Succession turned into the show that they talked about, and it's just sort of like season 8 of what's Tom and Greg up to now. Like I think they're good enough at it that I'd accept it, but I kind of feel like this is one thing, and their decision to end it now is gonna be gonna be give us some sort of finality at least temporarily.
Okay. You see that?
Yeah, I feel like if they do pick it up, it's gonna be somewhere completely uh like tangential to what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
But do you want that spin-off?
I wouldn't mind it because, like you said, if they have the same writing team, then it's
Mm-hmm.
all about just getting another cast that's good. Yeah, that could go
Yeah.
bad, but as long as they keep the writing the same, yeah, I trust the casting because every single new person that they've gotten, even actors I don't care for, have come in and killed it every single time, right? So is it really going to be that hard to find another 4? That's the only
Maybe
thing.
not.
But you need
Yeah.
the same writing. I agree with you. You don't have the
Yeah.
same writing, don't give me another show.
I mean, I kind of feel like Better Call Saul is sort of the exception that proves the rule that you shouldn't do
True.
stuff like this. But then again, like I was singing House of the Dragons praises, and that also seemed like
That's what I'm
a
saying.
weird
It's
way to
HBO,
continue it.
dude.
So yeah, if they do it, they're going to do it right, I'm sure.
They got
Are
the
you
analytics. They
ready?
know the nut.
Are you ready for the show to end? Are you emotionally ready? We haven't talked about Succession deciding to conclude yet on Intercut.
Yeah, because we found out like yesterday. I look, if they can land it, they can land it. I'd rather them end it early than to drag it on.
Yeah. The fact that they would come out and make this decision about their immensely successful show that I'm sure is making them immense amounts of money, to me indicates that this is the right time, right? They decided that this is the appropriate way to make it feel like it's all of the same quality. And that's the thing. It's like this is such top quality television that even if it fell off a little bit, I feel like it just the magic might not be there anymore. And I like how magical this experience has felt. I'm willing to entrust them whatever they got in store for us. So I don't know if I'm
Now,
emotionally ready for it, but I think like at least intellectually I've come to terms with it.
them doing them dirty though, and not letting them know it's still TV. People come onto these projects for long-term stuff and not letting them know till the final reading makes me feel like
Yeah,
they have something else up their sleeve.
I mean, they've also
I
talked
don't want them
about
to swap
how
them out.
yeah, they've already talked about. I mean, Jesse talked about how it probably would only be like a 4 or 5 season show from the start, but
Okay.
it is weird how certain people seem to know earlier than others.
Yeah, so that's my only thing. If they do end up going for a spin-off, the idea of not having the core four, Zach, is a little different. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of
You don't
that
want to,
because then it just feels like
you don't want
they're
the
swapping it
Disgusting
out.
Brothers spinoff?
And then cut everybody else out. Like I don't see how you could do a no because I think they live so much in the world.
Yeah, yeah, wouldn't be the same. Wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been an excellent start to season 4 in Succession. I'm excited to come back every week and go over our favorite lines and whose stock is up and whose stock is down with all y'all. Let us know who you think had their stock rise the most and stock fall the most on episode 1, as well as any favorite moments or lines that you had from this episode of Succession. Anything you want to get to before we wrap things up?
No, just go back and watch the first 3 seasons because if for whatever reason you're watching this without having seen the other ones, we highly recommend it. This is one of those
Yeah.
shows where once I caught up with it, it has been a weekly watch for sure. And if it's only going to be 4 seasons, that's a show you can binge in like a weekday. Like at the end of it all, it's going to be a nice, easy thing to reconsume, right? Because there's
Mm-hmm.
just so many jokes in this that when rewatching it again, you end up picking up or noticing different things that just uh, bring in a second type of laugh. So
Yeah.
I'm
We
excited to
already
see how it
did
ends.
our best Succession character bracket with Karsten. I was thinking like how can we bring the brackets back? Maybe we do best Succession episode at some point.
We
That
could,
could be a fun bracket.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Anyway,
characters part two.
characters part 2, yeah. We'll see. We'll plenty of more Succession to discuss shortly, but that's all for this podcast. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at zshevich. That's ZSHEV as in Walter, ICH. And check out my YouTube or TikTok channels at Multiplex Show. Artwork and people find more from you.
You can find me over at LME Explain on Twitter, on YouTube, on Letterbox, or every week here on the Intercut Podcast.
You can catch more Intercut podcast on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I like Overcast. And then make sure you're not just listening to the audio, but checking out the video as well on youtube.com/intercutpod. You can watch our bright smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of the Weekend Must Watch streaming on Mondays on our channel. And please consider heading over to iTunes to give us a 5-star review, leaving a comment over on iTunes, just liking the videos, liking us on Spotify. All that stuff really helps the podcast grow. Like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and you can also support us on patreon.com for as little as $1 per month. And those are the best places to get updates throughout the week from Art, from me, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, the Disgusting Brothers on motherfucking tour.